Hey guys, it's HiddenXperia back again from a different hotel room. We've got more to talk about regarding the future of Halo, the video, the Foundry video that came out today, and tons more. Loads of new information has been revealed since that video came out that we've got to talk about. So let's waste no time and dive in. Starting out with something very interesting, actually. So Marcus Leto, who if you don't know, is the co-creator of the Halo universe, the guy who created the Master Chief and so many other things, gave Chris Matthews, who was the British guy that you saw in that Foundry video, who is the new studio, or the new art director at Halo Studios, which is going to take some time to get used to, he gave him the seal of approval. He also actually worked with Marcus at Ridgeline Games last year on Battlefield, so Marcus gives him the seal of approval, so I feel like we should give him the seal of approval as well. And also something that Chris said in an interview that he did yesterday is very bang on, I think. He said, the spirit of Halo is more than just the visuals, it's the lore, it's the physics, and a bunch of other things. It's not just a hyperfixation on one thing, it's kind of amalgamation of a litany of different factors all coming together, but we'll get more to physics and that kind of stuff in a bit. So, of course, the video contained the first actual camera appearance from the new studio head, Pierre Hintz. Now, Pierre is very much like a Jason Jones kind of figure. Jason Jones never did interviews, he never liked being on camera, he was very rarely in Vidocs after Halo 2. He always just kind of like working in silence behind the scenes and like actually getting the work done, as opposed to being in front of a camera all day. And Pierre is absolutely that kind of guy as well. He even said that when he got on stage, like he doesn't normally do this, he doesn't want to do this, but he's doing it because he feels like he has to honestly, to win our trust back. I mean, this is something that is very apparent from a lot of what they said, both in the Foundry video and also what Pierre said. Pierre very clearly stated that the way that 343 made Halo, specifically 343, is done. Like, they're not doing it like that anymore. He said that there's like very clearly 3 distinct chapters of Halo. There's the Bungie era, there's the 343 era, and now there's the Halo Studios era. We'll get to this in a minute, but there's a very clear distinction they want to set between the 343 era that obviously was no bueno, to put it lightly, and this new era that hopefully, fingers crossed, will be. Pierre also said in an interview that in this current era of Halo, people are hungry for more, and so they're going to be improving the efficiency of their development to try and match that hunger. And I think that this is a very clear kind of acknowledgement of everyone's like want and need for more spin-off games specifically. The fact that there are multiple Halo games in production right now really says to me that like they understand that we don't just want main games. They understand that Halo's universe is so much more than just the main Master Chief story. That's very important, but like, I mean, again, we've talked spin-offs to death here on the channel and broadly in the Halo community, but Halo is an IP that is vastly underutilized, and I think a lot of what Pierre said, and a lot of what Chris said as well in this video, and also this interview that they did, is a great acknowledgement of that fact. And also on the topic of Chris, he also later said that their primary goal is growing and expanding the world so players have more to interact with and more to experience, which also falls very much in line with the whole multiple projects being developed thing. It's very clear that 343 are developing multiple games. Obviously there's the Halo 1 remake, there's probably going to be, well, there will be Halo 7, and God knows what else as well. I guarantee you there are multiple games in development right now. Okay, let's talk the Unreal Engine now, which is obviously a huge deal. For the first time, literally ever, Halo will no longer be made in the Blam engine. And this is a huge move solely for output reasons, right? So with the Blam engine, obviously it was a proprietary engine, which meant that no other studio used it. When you came to 343, you had to learn how to use Blam, which takes up time, of course. It takes time and effort and resources to learn that. Whereas with Unreal, it's like the most common video game engine in the world, besides maybe Unity, but I feel like it's more common than that. Every developer on planet Earth will know how to use Unreal Engine, and so when they come to work on Halo, there won't be that phase where they have to learn how to use the tools. They'll just get there and they'll get cracking straight away, which of course makes making games a lot quicker and a lot easier, which increases the output, and bottom line is that we get more games as a result. Hopefully, at least. Now, there is, of course, the concern that a lot of people have that because Halo's no longer in the Blam engine, it won't feel like Halo, and some people like to say that that's just like a nitpicky thing, but I agree, like, the Blam engine has a very unique feel to it. However, I feel like the reason for that feel, the source of it, is the physics. Like, Halo's physics are unlike any other game. It is the best physics-based game besides maybe like Half-Life or like Source-based games. Even then I feel like Halo is just the absolute best, right? And the reason for that is because the plugin that the Blam engine uses for physics, Houfek, is dictating all of that. And, well, we've said this before, but Houfek, as a plugin, can literally just be added to Unreal and used like it is in Blam. So all the properties that Houfek has in Blam can just be reused in Unreal. So there's no reason why the Halo feel shouldn't be directly replicable in Blam. Of course, it's more than just physics. It's movement, it's projectiles, it's kind of the ambiguous game feel, but the physics are a core part of all of that, and with Havoc, like, they can just recreate all of that in Unreal. And for anybody who might try and nitpick or trying to say that this Halo feel isn't actually a thing, well, in an interview, 343, I guess Halo Studios actually, literally said that they are going out of their way to replicate that feel because they know how important it is. Pierre said that they're being extremely intricate about even the finest details, like animations, weapon precision, and all that kind of stuff, to ensure the Halo feel is kept intact. Another great reason for Unreal as well is that because the Halo engine, Blam, well, Slipface I guess it was with Infinite, was literally just used by 343, they weren't just making a game in it, but they were also spending tons of resources like managing and improving the engine. Whereas with Unreal, you've got Epic Games who have, of course, made like probably trillions of dollars at this point off Fortnite alone to reinvest back into Unreal. They're the ones that keep updating it. They're the ones that add new lighting things like Nanite or Lumen, I think it's called, that we saw in the tech demo, right? They are the ones doing it, whereas 343 aren't. Now, 343, as Elizabeth Van Wyck said in the video, they're not a tech company anymore. They're just a game developer, which, again, on paper should improve output drastically. I will stress that on paper is what I'm going to be saying a lot of when it comes to this kind of stuff, because there is no way to tell if this is going to be an objectively good or bad thing until they ship their first game. Like I've said many times before, I will not judge the new management either positively or negatively until they ship a game. How they ship their first game is going to be the ultimate decider on whether they're good or not, right? You can't really decide before that, but everything we're hearing here is a very good start. Pierre also said that with the old engine, they were too focused on servicing just Halo Infinite, whereas now they're focusing on multiple new experiences at once. And I think that was the case. I mean, obviously everybody knew about the tech debt with Slipspace and how it affected Infinite's development and also Infinite's post-launch development, whereas now, like, they kind of don't have any of that baggage anymore. They have a new engine that they can use solely for making new games. They don't have to worry about how will it affect Infinite or how will we fix the problems that we caused to the engine with Infinite. They just have this engine that, at least based on my like very layman understanding, just, not to quote Todd, but just kind of works, right? And speaking of that, let's talk about the tech demo, because something that I didn't know until reading this interview is that, according to Chris Matthews, although the Foundry was a tech demo, it was designed specifically to not be like a typical tech demo. So, for example, the tech demo that we saw in 2018 for Halo Infinite was, like, the graphics in that were very clearly not going to be replicable in-game. Like, the actual game was never going to look that good because it was pre-rendered. It was designed to be like a pure beauty shot. Whereas apparently, when they were designing the Foundry, everything that we saw in that video, all the graphical fidelity and the shots and how good it looked, were designed solely to be actually like replicable in game. So what we see in this video is actually a sign of what we will see in, say, the Halo 1 remake or Halo 7 and stuff going on. Also, something else I just got to briefly mention about the Foundry video, the fact that one of the only three chosen biomes to be shown was a flood biome is very, very, very specific. That was done with clear intent. That was not done just like because they felt like it, right? Like, there's no way. They know how much we love the flood and they know how much we want the flood back. They wouldn't do that if there was no intent to bring them back. I'm telling you right now, I mean, obviously the Halo 1 remake will have the flood, but I guarantee you right now that the flood, I hope at least, will end up being more of a figurehead in future games. You don't debut Halo's new engine showing the flood for no reason. Like, you just don't. They could have very easily done a banished design, or a Covenant biome, or a UNSC biome, or New Mombasa, something like that. But they didn't. They did a Blightland. That was very, very clearly done with intent. And also the same goes for just how much of it was CE based, right? I mean, obviously the Halo 1 remake leaked a few months ago, and I feel like the tech demo was the most unsubtle confirmation that that remake is in fact real. The fact that we've got Chief specifically in his CE Mark V, and M6D, in that very, very, very Halo-looking Pacific Northwest biome with the waterfall from the background of the spawn area in Halo. I mean, it was very clearly done with intent. That the chosen locations for that biome, for the tech demo, and also the snow one as well. Like, they knew how much we missed different biomes in Infinite, and so they chose a snow biome as well. Like, it was all done with very clear intent, not to confirm anything officially, but just to give us an indication of what's to come. Now, let's talk again about the name change for 343. 343 are dead. Halo Studios have replaced them. Some people were saying that this is actually just like smoke and mirrors, and that it's still 343 and that nothing's changed, it's just designed to get us off their back, basically. And what you've got to realize is that the studio now, and for like the past year, has not been anything like the studio that made Halo Infinite, for example. We've had 3 rounds of layoffs and an entire change of the studio leadership, right? The leadership and management were, without a doubt, the main problem within 343, at least. Of course, Microsoft are pain in the ass, but like, the leadership with the main problem, they're gone, right? So many of the devs that made Infinite are also gone, right? The studio is not entirely different. I'm not going to say it's completely different, but it's significantly different to the studio that made Infinite, right? The biggest thing is the fact that the new leadership obviously will have, well, very clearly, as we've shown already, have very clearly different mantras, philosophies, and ideas of where to take Halo. I mean, Pierre literally said that the old 343 way of making Halo games is dead, right? He said that very specifically for a reason. This is not 343 anymore. Of course, some of the low-level devs are still going to be there. Some of, like, the odd manager here and there will still be there. But it is a radically different studio that if they were to give it the 343 name still, it would do them a disservice, because that name, that company name, is so unbelievably tarnished. Like, anyone who tries to argue that it's not is just lying to themselves, to be quite honest with you. Like, you ask any general gaming audience person if they have any faith in 343 Industries, and the answer 99 times out of 100 will be absolutely not. No way in hell. I mean, like, how can they, right? Like, obviously we know more than they do because we're actively following Halo, but like, you look at the general audience and what they've seen from Halo in the last, like, I don't know, decade. It's been failure, 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 failure. About 3 wins and about 300 failures, right? There's no point changing the studio as radically as they have done and still keeping that name, right? There is no point. And you know what, actually, on topic of the name, I will say, I'm not a fan of the studio name, to be honest with you. I don't think Halo Studios is the greatest name. I'm not a huge fan of the logo, although I saw that Paul Russell, who, if you don't know, is like the creator of the Forerunner art style and the guy who literally created the Halo logo, said that the new logo for Halo Studios is more than likely inspired by one of his very, very early sketches for the Halo logo in 1999, which I will say is kind of cool. I'm not a fan of the name and I'm not a fan of the logo, but that is, credit where it's due, that's pretty cool. So yeah, new studio, entirely different mantra, entirely different engine, entirely different leadership. This is, I'm not going to say to get all your hopes up and to act like Halo's back. Don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. Do not get passive. Stay critical about things that you don't like and that you think aren't right. And if something changes that's bad, then absolutely voice your opinion, and vice versa the other way as well. But I think people need to just realize that this 343 is very, very different to the one that made Infinite and that caused the ridiculous blunders that we've had for the past 12 years. Like, this, I don't want to sound like a broken record because we have said this before, but this is like one of the biggest changes to ever, in fact, this is the biggest change that ever happened to Halo, in my opinion. This is at least an equal size change to when Bungie passed the game over to 343, and this does feel like a new chapter. Whether it will be a good one or not, we don't know, and we won't know until a game is shipped and we know how good it is. That is the absolute final testament to everything. If the game is good, great. If the game sucks still, then the name change, the leadership change, the engine change don't mean anything, right? They don't mean anything. Unless, of course, Halo goes the Warhammer route and ends up pumping out like 5 games a year, which is a potential now that we have the game in Unreal. But yeah. Overall, though, I just got to say that Foundry video, I think, was excellent. That is exactly what we needed from 343. We needed something that sets our sights beyond Infinite now, because, like, Infinite's 3 years old, man. The game is, it's not reached any of its potential. Let's be honest there, right? Like, yeah, it's gotten better, but it just, people have been so checked out of Halo because of that game. And having a video like this that clearly shows that 343, or Halo Studios, are set on the future. They are, like, working towards what comes next. They're working towards future games, plural. Because, I mean, dude, like, after those layoffs last year, people were convinced that Halo was done. And now you see a video like this where there's so much intent for Halo to not be done, and if anything, the complete opposite. I don't know, this to me is a very, very good start, but it's just a start, right? I will say though, the shaders on that Elite, the pearlescent shaders, the very Halo 1 looking pearlescent shaders, and seeing a CE Magnum just made me very happy, and the flood biome as well, man. I mean, it's the flood. That looks so good. It looks so flood-like, man. None of this like orange glowy stuff everywhere. It looks like visceral, disgusting, iconic flood. And you know what? With that said, I'm going to round this video out here. I just wanted to make another video about this whole thing because there was some stuff that in all my hype yesterday I missed out, or I just didn't mention or whatever, and there's also been that whole interview that came out. Sorry about the lack of editing. I'm still in Seattle for like another few days. You know, I'll be able to reveal what I'm here for in a few days time actually, so follow me on Twitter at HiddenXperia so you can see that. I think you'll all be pleasantly surprised when you see that, but yeah, I'll dip now. I want to go to bed honestly, so thank you all for watching. I'm sorry about the lack of editing, but I'm sure you understand. I'll catch you all in the next one.